Welcome, everybody. Uh, Today is absolutely improvised Thanksgiving conversation, and we will talk about different subjects that usually people who gather around the table talk about on Thanksgiving. So, with me in the studio, Christian Golden from Agapologia, Algernon Matthew from Neologos, and Kevin from Discord. So, guys, just like as a short introduction, I would like to ask Christian to introduce his project.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I'm Christian Golden. My current project is I call it Agapologia, and really it's just a mashup of two words, right? Agape and apologia. It may even be properly pronounced apologia. I don't know because I don't know. Uh, but anyways, I'm sticking with Agapologia, and the focus is to foster conversations from diverse perspectives on love. So not just Christian perspectives, but Jewish perspectives, Muslim perspectives, whatever. Right. So given the tendency of and the characteristics of this little corner, obviously most of the people who are currently involved are from a Christian perspective, which is totally fine. I'm just hoping eventually to have more diverse perspectives as well. Um, and Yeah, so I want the bulk of I want it to be a sort of communal thing, a community-based project to where, like, I have a YouTube channel, a podcast, a Substack, and as of right now, I'm the only person making content for that because I basically took all my stuff before that was just branded with my own name. So there's the YouTube channel called Christian Golden, and hey,
Hey,
um, and everything else, everything was called Christian Golden, but I really, since I want to make this more community based, I rebranded it to Agapologia in the hopes of bringing in other people to, produce content on the platform as well. So whether it's conversations between people or me giving individuals publishing rights on different things and all that. Um, yeah, so that's just kind of the gist of that stuff.
Uh, Thank you so much. The links will be below. I just added the tag for a YouTube channel. And we have with us Harris Naupito from Cyprus. Hi, Harris.
hello. Hello,
And
everyone.
How do you say your name, Harris?
I
Neofito?
Neofito.
Onefito. Okay.
I'm not
It
sure I have all
means,
those
That's beautiful.
vowels.
in English, it means a new plant.
A new plant?
Yeah, it's the same word with, in college, they have the neophyte.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same root, basically.
There you go. Neophyto.
So Harris is from the Upcycle Club initiative. Also has a pretty interesting YouTube channel. Soon more videos coming up, hopefully. Please check it out. I will add the links below as well. Okay. So we are doing for a little short introduction about projects that guys would like to share just before the round table as a warm up. So next project is from Matthew Algernon called Neologos. So Matthew, couple words.
So Neologos is my effort to create a mass conversational scaffold. So with social media now, we're tweeting and commenting across videos and sometimes having conversations like this, but you can only have so many people in a room, but there's need of like many people having a conversation. And the reason you can't do that is because the conversation, you have to go one way and there has to be a response. So generally you can do broadcasts where you have one person talk to many. That's easy. We do that all the time. But when the many try to respond to the one, it's no bueno. So it's just cacophony, you know, everybody's, if you tried to read all the tweets or responses to some popular tweet, like if you were somebody with a lot of followers, you know, it'd take you half an hour just to read them, never mind respond to them. And the conversation just fractures. It doesn't lend itself to any sort of conversational pattern. But the idea of neologos is where you can put a question to a large group using that framework, that scaffolding, and of certain types of like closed form, some multiple choice things, or like a couple sliders. And then you ask a question of the audience. And then the whole group who log into that interface get that question on their phone or their web browser. And they operate the control and they respond. And they have a time limit of, say, 20 seconds. So now they have a response, and then everybody sees a graphical rendering of that live response as it comes in. And so you say, like, oh, look, our crowd is really mixed on this yes-no question that was asked. You're like, well, it's not really what I thought it would be. And then the host of this, the person asking the questions, can maybe show some other graphics about that, see how an audience splits male-female. Like, people will be able to tag their accounts with certain words if they want. And then you can see how questions break down across the demographics of the room in this thing. And I think that we'll be able to carry on a conversation where a host will be able to talk to like 10,000 people and like as an aggregate of some sort. And look, everybody will be looking at these graphs, and it's like a really clear audience response. You know, like when a superstar is up there on stage and the crowd, like they say, who wants to do this? And they do just sort of vague measures. This would be like a really precise version of that. So you could ask questions with clear answers. I've got more features and stuff I could go into, but the point is, I do know how to build it, and it's not that complicated. I've been working on the design of it, and I've started to implement it, and I'm going to finish it soon. And then I'm going to be looking for audiences to use it. And so, Christian, that was interesting because I think the space that you're in, like that's the kind of tool. I want it to be able to drop into anybody's stuff. Like it's just a secondary channel. So if you're doing Twitch, or you're doing YouTube, or you're doing X, doesn't matter. Like you could just sort of invite your audience to connect to you through this other channel. And I aim to make the interface something that you don't need a PhD in computer science to operate. That's my project.
That's interesting. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I actually think there is with GPT and AI at the moment, or Grok, like if the
They're helping
AI
me.
already knows, yes, they're helping you, but they
Yeah,
also
I'm
in the
using
future
them to
might
write code.
assist. Ooh, interesting. That's cool.
Singularity. I don't know.
Okay. Well, it depends. Like it works. So the audience tell you what they think, not it tells the audience.
Yeah,
Unless
I've
the AI
intentionally,
tweaks it.
when I first started thinking of this, I thought, you could do this with AI. Like it could take in 1,000 tweet like sentences and record sentiment categories or whatever. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, there's actually a lot of, you can do that. But you don't have to do any of that. You can just do single word answers and things and not have AI be any part of it. And I thought that's actually what we need right now, is just a very clear thing where I can say 500 people said yes and 500 people said no. And there's no like interpretive layer. Like it can be entirely transparent so people will know. Like when I said yes to question 5, it recorded as yes to question 5. It wasn't like interpreted by some AI in some way that no one could describe. So anyway, no AI is needed in this framework. It's totally transparent.
So Christian is building a community, and you are building tools to assist and kind of
Communities.
talk to your community,
you
interact
go.
with the community if the community is large. Harris,
Yeah.
can you tell a little bit about your project? Like one chosen. I know you have multiple.
Yeah. Okay, I think the best thing I can disclose at this moment, because as you said, I have many things going on all the time. I think I actually mentioned this to you, so everybody else will be hearing it for the first time except you. I made a personal decision to start working on a trilogy. Basically, it has to do with three different types of books, three different genres, let's say. The first one, basically, it's more or less a scientific textbook. The title is Mathematics for Ants and Titans. That's the title I decided to give for some reason. Basically, it focuses on mathematics, on pure mathematics and number theory, basically. So I will try to put there all my results in group theory and primality and all of that over there. Of course, some I am planning to publish some papers over to some journals, but most of it will make into this textbook, let's say, the first one. And the reason why I call it Mathematics for Ants and Titans is twofold. One is because it also has to do with, first of all, it has to do with the macroscopic scale, the tiny one, let's say the quantum realm, and also the very large one that is the realm we inhabit, and planets and galaxies exist and all of that. So it also touches a bit upon quantum physics, let's say. So that's the first part, the first reason, let's say, and the other it's concerning the ants. It has to do with something called stigmergy, which is a nice principle that has to do with the way ants communicate with each other by leaving tiny traces of pheromones and smells. So it also touches upon some aspects of self-organization. And that's the first one. The second one, basically, I called it Fragments of an Anarchist Ant. And this partially is inspired by a philosopher that recently passed away in 2020, Geber. And he had written a book called Fragments of an Anarchist Anthropology. So because that particular book that I am about to write, it's basically absurdist fiction, which is a very specific a type of fiction. And for that reason, I decided to just cut anthropology and just leave the ant over there. And it's a nice wordplay, let's say. And in a way, it pays also homage to that particular philosopher. And the last one, it's called the diorama of the Titans, trying to link everything together. And that will basically be more of a poetic collection than anything else. So three different genres all packed together in under one, let's say, framework. So that's something I am trying in the more science and artistic side. So yeah.
Wow, that's very cool. 3 layers, let's say, which is also trilogy. And that's interesting. Okay, guys, Kevin, couple words.
Yes, this isn't a project I'm personally part of, but I think it's worth sharing because it's hopeful and it's in this beta stage right now. But it's called Consensus.app. Harris, you might have particular interest in this, is a bespoke adaptation of GPT, I think 4, and basically it tries to make research more digestible to a general audience. So you have to ask yes or no questions. So like, does brain training games increase working memory in adults, for example, right? And it'll give you right kind of a yes or no response. But the yes or no response is based on it kind of aggregating summaries of different papers. Now it's still in beta. You still read the abstracts and like make sure it's actually like doing what it should be doing. If not, please give feedback to people who made it. But yeah, it's pretty cool, promising, and I'm sure Matthew has some contingency like to voice in response to this because I saw his hand move.
I was just laughing at the idea of people reading technical papers.
Oh, well, yeah.
And you
I mean,
just like, make sure you go and read those papers. And I was like, yeah, like nobody's going to understand that.
One thing it does that's kind of neat is it will summarize like, you know, what population interest was being studied, how big is the sample size, what were the methods used. It also kind of classifies them if it's like a meta-analysis, if it's a literature review. If those don't mean anything to you, that's okay. You can click on them and it'll explain to you what those are. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and it seems to be getting better. So just thought throw that out there. Again, I'm not personally affiliated with this. I just think it's a cool project that's like worth people looking into. And if you have like general questions about like random stuff, like hey, does like X impact Y? You know, you can ask that, and you'll get some sort of response. It'll also tell you if there's not enough papers out there in the field to like give you a response to that question. But yeah, so consensus.app is what you would type in to go to it. Oh yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, Kara.
It sounds great.
Okay. Oh, that's excellent. The links in description. Hi, Meals, everybody in the audience. And Harris, you shared David Graeber, the other fragments of anarchist anthropology.
Yeah.
Fragments of an anarchist anthropology. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, all the names and links in the description.
I just wanted to
as the warm-up, yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, can you also tell us some of your projects?
My projects.
Yes.
So I am not really focusing on the projects as well as the goal. So I see the aim and the goal, which is just to help out a bunch of my own relatives. I know it's very selfish. They had been through a lot. So whatever I do is to help them out. It also includes, as my mom inspired me, to share messages of kindness, helping each other, basically anything that promotes human values, and kind of not share anything that promotes violence. So that my mom, my grandma are in Ukraine at the moment. It is all the cats. They are in Odessa already for almost a year. So I think next month will be almost a year. Yeah, so in the future, if I will gather up help and the war is over, I will be needing help to go to Ukraine and build roofs. So manpower, or maybe like I know not everybody has money, but like if you want to come and help, I will be physically there building and doing like renovation, cleaning up the rubble and stuff like that. So this is my future plans, and whatever I do right now, I guess it's more or less I'm trying what works. So I did different projects like Lambalan, which is conversations with people about the music. It's fun to do. It doesn't get a lot of traction because it's very specific, let's say, not really crowd gathering, and it's not as entertaining as, let's say, cats, which is, by the way, another thing I do on the side, some cat videos, but I just started. Music, songs. I'm trying new different things, but general aim is, kindness and anything that stays away from violence and war. Yeah. So that's thank you for asking, Harris. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your share.
Wow. I'm blushing now. So today, the aim is Thanksgiving conversations, and I would like to ask.
Do you
I
want
as
real
a,
ones? Do you want
I
like what
want
would
you
be
know
like a typical one that we might anticipate, like in an awkward situation, where it didn't go that well? Is that what we want to initiate? I mean, not necessarily imagine the worst, but I imagine very restricted conversation.
I am curious. For example, you guys from different states, and I don't know if you guys want to disclose your states for the stalkers out there.
I am here.
So
I'm happy with state level placement. I'm in North Carolina, in Raleigh, North Carolina.
In Texas.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Pew pew.
New York.
See, they have guns in Texas. We have
New
them in North
York.
Carolina, too.
Aris,
Cyprus.
Cyprus,
Yeah.
Yay!
which is not a state.
Get off continent.
I read today that a lot of people LARP as Greek, but Harris is the real deal. So, with the Thanksgiving, I'm curious. Just like it's not a tradition that we celebrate in Poland. Let's say I am currently in Poland. How does it look like? Is it different cross country, cross US? Like in general, what's the more or less commonalities?
You want? I can
Interesting
start with
question.
I'll start with like a general idea. I think that is probably like the somewhat accurate stereotype of what Thanksgiving is in general in the U.S. I think it's really only celebrated in the U.S. and Canada. And Canada's is different because it's different roots or whatever. But what does it look like? For me, as a lifelong New Yorker, but not in the city. I'm up north from the city quite a ways. But I think this is general. Families get together, so that can range from like 6 or 7 people to I know some people have 50 plus people over for Thanksgiving. You begin cooking for Thanksgiving typically, I think, like the day before at least. There's usually like a spread of food that involves turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, any number of sides, mac and cheese, possibly. I don't know, but turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes. Those are like the key Thanksgiving foods for most families that I know of. But really, I mean, uh, it's it's mostly about coming together, and beyond the food, it's about being thankful for whatever. Right? It's about spending time being mindful of things for which you could be grateful for. I know it's got roots in the Protestant Reformation, stuff like that, but I really don't know like the history of Thanksgiving that well. But just the general idea is lots of food and giving thanks. So that's there's the very short version of what Thanksgiving is as far as I understand it.
I second the green bean casserole from Mills. It's a standard. It's become pretty common. It's interesting. It's a surprisingly uncomplicated holiday for the United States. Like people talk about arguments at the table or whatever, but that shape of it, of like families getting together and we have a big meal and then we've all had too much to eat and we help clean up and there's like the quiet period. See, people laugh in the quiet period. Maybe there's some sports watching going on, depends on the group. Maybe some people are going for a walk. Then we're coming back together, and we got the whole dessert phase. We start this at like 2 in the afternoon, the eating part. Like we're having dinner at 2 because we know it's a whole pageant that's going to go on during the course of the day. It started from hors d'oeuvres and drinks, perhaps some eggnog, some booze. Anyway, then we're going to go out for a walk. Then we're going to come back. There's going to be lots of things. The kids from different families will all get together and who don't necessarily see each other, and so they're off goofing off in the backyard. And it's just a easy party that everybody is doing with their family, and we're just like giving thanks. And the ones I've been to, people aren't super concerned with like whatever religious ties there might be behind it or symbolism, or it is simply about just people being with people. So it's surprisingly uncomplicated.
It's cool. Yeah. How about Texas?
Similar story, although I will maybe bring in a different perspective. So it is not always a great idea to wish people happy Thanksgiving, because I had a friend who I did not know at the time had indigenous heritage, and they're like, "This is day of mourning for me," and I was like, "Oh shit, whoops, didn't see that landmine coming." So it's apparently a little more complicated for people, right? Kind of depending on their culture and their upbringing, as to what this day means to them, and whether or not it is a day of celebration or one of, like, remembering past tragedies and all that good stuff. I say ironically for those who are just listening, but yeah, so there's that element to it. But most of my experience has been usually overeating, a lot of sugar involved for some reason, like a lot of like sugared ham and food comas from like excessive sugar amounts. Which I don't really do that much anymore because that's just not a pleasant thing to go through, for me at least. Happy post-morning, Neutrino. I do like this post yard. Lets me see the YouTube comments. That's quite handy. Or StreamYard, I guess. But yeah, so I guess I don't really have much in terms of, well, I guess, yeah, there's usually less religious connotation. For some people there is, for some people there isn't. Most times just, families trying to hang out and spend time together. Sometimes there's very contentious fights, depending on the family and like what's happened in that family's, recent history. But I think people try to get past that as much as they can, and I think that's probably a good mindset to have. And yeah, that's all I got on my side. Thank you, Kara.
Mhm. So I wanted to ask Harris about the traditions of gratitude in the family in Cyprus. I'm really curious about it.
Yeah. First of all, just wanted to say that we don't celebrate Thanksgiving over here, but in terms of having a turkey dinner, we actually do that on the day of the Christmas. So that's something we tend to do, and there is a whole nice, let's say, warm domestic culture built around that dinner table. Of course, once again, we have our own traditions over here and our own customs, but most of them, they have to do with being at home with family and friends, and having small things that they are very particular for Cyprus and Greece. Like, for example, I remember, okay, over here it's always sunny all year round, but during those Christmas days, it's actually quite cold. So we usually have the fireplace, and we have this tradition of taking some leaves from the olive tree and throwing it into the fireplace. And if it cracks, then it means that your wish will be granted or something like that. So we usually do that as we exchange gifts and wishes and our thoughts and hopes, let's say, for the new year. And In general, from what I gather around, also from my personal friends, let's say, that I grew up with them, I was very fortunate to have like a large group of friends, 7, 8 of them, that were still all together. And we used to always watch that series Friends. We were expecting for the Thanksgiving episode. So we got a lot of that culture, let's say, through that particular series. And yeah, I've actually shared some clips with Kara. I don't know if we will be able to show them or not, but I think that's all from me for now.
Thank you, Harris. The clips, I will see if we have time to share it. I know Kevin is traveling, so and I have time to keep it if the guests keep coming, so we can keep the dinner rolling. So welcome, Joshua. So we are talking about different Thanksgiving traditions cross states and also cross countries, because something like Thanksgiving is present, just not on the same day in different cultures. Joshua, is it a secret from what state you are in the US?
I'm from Florida.
Florida. Is there a particular Thanksgiving tradition in your family?
There is, but sometimes we like to mix it up and change things. Like one year we did lobster instead of turkey. But yeah.
That's very cool. The question to the panel from Mills: baked or deep fried turkey? I can answer from me. I cook turkey. For me, it's definitely baked. Nothing deep fried. Like we do not do deep fried food at all. Yeah, guys, who feels too cool?
It baked over here. Yeah, but I would love to have a deep fried turkey. Not gonna lie.
I was with some friends and we did the fry-in thing there for a few years. It was very popular when people weren't burning down their garages. And you get to stand outside, usually in the cold because you have to cook, you're boiling the oil outside. And so it became like a thing with our group because we all enjoyed standing outside around a fire, like while the men were out, we'd be out there cooking the turkey. So it kind of gave us something to do. That was amusing for a few years. It tasted about the same. It was good. It had crispy skin. Not worth it though.
Okay. Kevin?
I mean, I guess by default we just do the baked turkey. I do know people will blow up turkeys by accident by not thawing them first when they throw it in the deep fryer. So, word of caution: people haven't done that yet. Don't let it thaw, which takes like 2-3 days depending on the turkey. Sometimes 3 to 4. But yeah, I guess baked is easier, and deep frying I'm sure has its pros and cons. I don't want to deal with the mess of the deep fryer and all that stuff. So, baked on my side.
It occurs to me that figuring out how to cook a turkey, because it's not something we do regularly to try to prepare a thing that big in most families. Anyway, it's part of the tradition. Is like, how well is this person going to cook this turkey? And people talking about cooking the turkey, failing to cook it properly. Anyway, it's part of the tradition that the turkey is difficult to get right.
And you remind me that there's a story in my family. Yeah, that my mother had apparently undercooked turkey. When they tried to cut it, it like actually slipped out the window, and that was a big deal. I wasn't I think old enough or aware of this, but it's definitely a story that got passed down. I was like, don't you remember this? And
Okay, Joshua, baked or deep fried? You don't
Baked.
cook turkey, right? Baked.
Baked. No, we do
I
turkey. We do
yeah.
turkey. It was just one year we decided to do lobster.
Boiled.
Yeah. Was the lobster baked or boiled or deep fried? Steamed.
I don't remember. Probably not deep fried.
No, for the lobster. No, for the lobster is actually
Probably
steamed.
baked.
The fried lobster. That's
That-
funny. Okay. Uh, so a comment from Neutrina. Hard to screw up the turkey with deep frying. Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's really anything deep fried, even a potato. Uh, Actually, potato is really good. Sweet potato. There it is. Anything deep fried tastes delicious. Yeah. Okay. I think there are always this story that passed down generations about something like that. Mm. What about turducken? It's turkey stuffed with a duck because duck is actually has a lot of duck oil or fat, and then they do this turducken. Is turducken turkey stuffed with a duck?
There's a chicken involved too. The 3-layer
So
affair.
turducken is actually turkey, duck, and chicken.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, the chicken goes inside the duck, which goes inside the turkey.
It's just it's
Monstrosity.
and nobody does it. It's like a YouTube thing, and some chefs, I'm sure, are like, look what we could do, but nobody makes it in real life. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's really popular in Minnesota. You might get angry comments on the video. Turducken.
What? No, I think we
A
will get
generational
recipes
favorite.
actually.
Some duck in your stuffing could work because that grease. But I think the inside of the bird is already pretty greasy. I don't think more grease is helpful there.
Hi, Glove. Yeah, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving, bro.
Mm.
Yeah.
Having too
Okay.
many desserts is part of the tradition of Thanksgiving. Like having more desserts than you need. So you're put into a position where you're like, well, it's probably proper to have more than one dessert. And that's unusual in most of our traditions, but not on this one. It's part of it. Overeating.
Yeah, for a few days.
Oh, right. And then the leftovers is another
The
very
leftovers
important
are-
part of this whole thing. Is even if you go to like a party or something, there's going to be leftovers and extra desserts. There's going to be a lot of calories for everybody in that next week. All part of the tradition. And all the fancy ways you can prepare turkey. The YouTube videos come out and someone's like, look what I did. And they're like, oh my God, like that looks really good. I just made a turkey sandwich.
Joshua, you were trying to say something?
It's like when you have candy left over after Halloween.
Yep. Part of the holiday. I mean, if you're going to be fair, like the leftover candy, its ramifications, it's part of it.
Okay. Shout out to your friend's birthday. Okay, that's awesome. So, guys, basically now is a conversation simulated like a table conversation. So you have to fight for the microphone. I'm not saying fight. There is a delay. So if you talk over each other, it let's call it a delay in StreamYard. I did not set up any rules, and I don't like to interrupt. My first question would be for the controversial subjects around the Thanksgiving table when you get a lot of relatives. what is appropriate to talk about and what isn't. And as a setup, I would like to say a tradition in my country. We were not allowed, it was considered to be impolite to talk about those two subjects. So we do not talk religion, not at all. It's considered impolite, and no politics. No religion and no politics in my country. Because people would gather up at Christmas as well, like in Harris's. Yeah, exactly.
I'll go. I'll give it a start. So I actually have a slightly interesting background in that regard. So I come from a background where it was like, yeah, you don't talk about any of that stuff at Thanksgiving. And honestly, it would always be a very small Thanksgiving when I was growing up. Anyways, it's basically me and my parents most of the time. But then I marry into a large Italian family,
Uh-oh.
and well, you definitely talk about religion and politics, and hopefully you agree with everyone. But I mean, fortunately for me, I did. You know, like particularly with my in-laws, I generally get along with them and believe pretty similar things. You know, I'm a bit too libertarian maybe for their tastes. You know, they're a bit more typical conservative kind of thing, but nothing was really off the table. But then again, nobody really tried to talk about anything that was like too controversially against the grain, except for maybe my wife. You know, my wife and my mother-in-law would have their disagreements, but I learned that in an Italian family that's completely normal, and the shouting doesn't mean that they don't love each other. So yeah, coming from a very kind of quiet hermit introvert family, it was a learning experience. So yeah, so I guess it's hard to say really truly if people had like really conflicting political and religious ideas, if that would really fly well, I don't know. But certainly in the case of my family growing up, my parents are now born again Christians, and that's like basically all that's talked about on Thanksgiving, which is fine with me. But there's still like no politics talk. My dad can't stand politics one bit, like at all. He doesn't care what what you want to talk about, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. He hates the stuff altogether. So, which I kind of prefer, in a sense. It's like, I don't have to worry about walking into some heated political debate when I go over my parents' house. So that's nice. That's my family's stance on that stuff in a nutshell.
Shall we just jump in
Thank you.
as we go?
Yeah, guys, jump in. I wanted to say thank you for sharing that, Christian. And remember
Yeah.
about the delays.
My
So,
family.
now, Matthew.
Can I say
Or
one?
Joshua.
My
I
family,
see
we
to
talk
Joshua.
about. My family, we talk about vaccines, and we have the pro-vaccines on one side, and then the anti-vaccines on the other side, and then we argue.
That, and I think there would be a lot who would divide on the politics if they brought that directly to the table. I think both sides have such caricatures of each other at this point that they all know the script by heart. Like, if I say this, they'll say that. And a lot of them are mirrored now. Like, they're saying the same things about each other. It's not a big thing in my family, but I do think where there were differences, people would navigate around them. You'd choose not that topic. There's plenty of other interesting topics. And and we didn't have any religious splits in at least that part of the family. And I would say, though, that if you went to visit somebody's Thanksgiving, you would know you would not bring up any divisive topic, because it would be impolite to basically say, I'm aware that there's a lot of division out there on this topic. So let me drop this in the middle of the room. So I think, at least for my friends, while we may joke about doing that, I don't think any of us would actually do that, at least not intentionally. But some families are, I guess it really depends on how they are with each other. And so hearing everybody discuss these topics you can't discuss really makes me, when I have my Thanksgiving in a couple days with some friends of mine, to just really let my hair down and discuss all the forbidden topics. It'd be so much fun.
Which I guess to tag onto that, this is a point I think my sister made to me like a few years ago about the taboo around like talking about religion and politics makes us worse at talking about those topics. Like if we do not practice this skill, it gets worse over time, right? That's just kind of an obvious thing. But this applies to conversational topics as well, which is that I think it's important for people to, if it's not Thanksgiving, Christmas, fine, like whatever, right, or whatever holidays, right, that you want to avoid these topics. But like, there needs to be a place for us to practice this, because otherwise, like what Matthew was saying, we're going to get like these weird caricatures of like other perspectives that like just do not map onto the reality of like what they actually think. And unfortunately, it seems to be reinforced by a lot of the recommendation engines and the social media platforms that we were exposed to. Of like, I'll just see the more reasonable side, right, of my perspective of things. I'll see the most ridiculous, outrageous perspectives on the other side. And it's like, well, you got to overcome that somehow. And I think conversation is probably a helpful way to do that. But we will not get better if we don't practice that. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now. Tag out.
Yeah, Karis?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that at least in terms of family gatherings, let's say during festive seasons, there is some form of stereotype. We didn't have that in my family, but I've witnessed it in many other family gatherings, let's say. There is always that one uncle, let's say, that he drinks a lot, and he always starts making inappropriate jokes and discussions. So it's like a stock character, but I think it comes out of reality. So for some reason, it's a form of an archetype, let's say, that keeps pulling up. So yeah, always found those jokes and those interactions particularly funny. So yeah.
Thank you. Also, a big shout out to that one uncle who almost every family has.
I am
The
that uncle.
archetype. There is like also the father, the mother, and that one uncle.
The one who's like,
Uh,
I'm going to espouse the unpopular opinion, and you're all going to say you're just crazy. You're like, okay. You'll come to understand it later.
the energy of family rage. It's like that one person in the family.
As long
who
as
really
it's done in
enjoys
good
it.
spirit.
It's like seasoning.
I've never had that experience of like having arguments in the Thanksgiving table. Like
What?
it never happens.
Oh, this year's your year, man. You want a series of topics?
You have to
Bring
be
up-
that one uncle.
bring up Elon. Just go like casually go like, do you think Elon is good or bad? And just
Love
the
Elon.
room will explode.
Oh, I'm so bad when it comes to like. So, in addition to the normal like central location of whatever Thanksgiving I'm a part of, we'll also typically go out in the middle of the day to some extended family just to visit for a little bit, and I just can't help but like light fuses here and there. It's so terrible. Like I'll see that guy, and I'll be like, hey man, like can't believe I saw what came out about the the Myrna stuff, with the vaccine, and like, and then I'm just like, all right guys, well, gotta head out. We're heading back. Whoops.
Yeah, when people start announcing and saying, look at the time, and start looking for their jackets, you're like, uh-oh, touched a nerve. We joke about all this stuff, but people are carrying around different realities right now quite a bit. Like, ones that are inconsistent with one another. Like two sides are framing something different. You're like, yeah, but those things can't both be right. So somebody's going to be surprised. And we have to sort that out. We're going to have to end up figuring out jab good, jab bad, and many other issues. And maybe Thanksgiving table in a pleasant and, not screaming at one another way. Maybe that turns out to be a place where people connect and, can settle their realities a little bit to one another.
I want to give shout out to the comments from Neutrino, Mills, and Nathaniel. Yeah, thank you. There is forbidden conversation part that and kind of Nathaniel responds to it that he learns from the disagreements, if I understood it correctly.
Oh, that's good.
And yeah. And Mills is actually thinking about how it is suited in the actual family gathering. So I actually am enjoying that exploration of the conversations. I keep thinking about people during COVID who would go to the dinner with the mask on and talk to their family with the mask on, while being considerate and trying to take care of their family, influenced by the media. And it was interesting phenomena for me to observe, let's say. I have seen it personally, that I would go to a family gathering and let's say there would be those few people who wear a mask and try to eat through the mask.
Oh my.
And, yeah.
I wanted
Did you
to
guys
ask,
have this experience?
That's another
Yeah.
one of the forbidden topics. Masking
Oh, okay.
for this year. We should put that on the list.
Okay. Harry?
no, I just wanted to ask from your experience from Thanksgiving, do you get to sing at the tables?
Sing?
Yeah.
We have no Thanksgiving music. We have no songs to sing. It is one of those bizarre things in our American consciousness. Like purple and orange don't have words that rhyme with them. This is just like an odd fact.
Okay.
No songs for Thanksgiving. It's a weird void.
It's interesting.
But do you guys just
Is there
for
one
the
that you guys
gathering
can
at
think
the
of?
end?
That's maybe like the Peanuts song or something. But that gets into Christmas right away.
No,
I can't think of
no,
anything that's
anything
Thanksgiving
that is
music to me.
memorable for the family.
Oh, sure, lots of that.
So it's like, listen,
gonna
Thanksgiving
like
is
it,
a
though.
family gathering where you express gratitude. They're not gonna like it. Should I stay or should I go now? Like that song, and then they all sing it. Should I stay?
Well, it's interesting you brought up anything about like something about there being something memorable or memorizable taking away from Thanksgiving, but actually it occurs to me that the one thing that seems to be the most common topic of conversation is memories, actually. So whereas like politics and religion and stuff like that might be taboo, family memories and like remembering certain things, crazy things that happened in my childhood or whatever, even just this last year or whatever, that's typically, I think, the bulk of the conversations that happen, probably not just on Thanksgiving, but on Thanksgiving, I think so.
I will share a Thanksgiving memory that you spawned, and it's not a typical one, which is why I share it. And it's just like weird family tradition that developed spontaneously. I think my mom was running around the house trying to do Thanksgiving. She'd done like 7 different appetizers, and some people were coming over, and sort of an atmosphere of this is all a stage and don't you mess it up. So we were trying to stay out of her way while we're snagging cookies and things. Anyway, we got pushed out and we decided to set up a croquet game in the backyard. And we had a pool and we lived in Florida. So anyway, not a giant backyard, but we were using all the terrain we had. So we had part of the course that's like going over the edge of the pool. You got to hit it really fast. We put a ramp, so you'd have to hit the ball off the ramp. We made it exciting. We made this ridiculous game, and then as a family, after we had Thanksgiving, we all went in the backyard and we played this course that we had spent all this time setting up this ridiculous course. And then we would find ways to make my mother win. Like however it was going in the game, like you'd always like try to cheat to get my mother's ball. You're like, oh, what's that? And boop, her ball would be in a better position. So that became part of it. My mother always had to win. We had to set up more and more ridiculous courses every year, of course. Just impossible holes. You've got to bounce it off the wall and then come back down. And that became like this tradition in my family. Like we did this for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years, that we would set up this crazy course and then play it all together and try to make my mother win. So, and so many memories from that. It's just a lot of fun. People joking.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah. How about you guys?
I mean, in my family gatherings, which is again during Christmas festivities, it would be not to make my mother angry. It's like the entire family is on the eggshells. It's like
Yeah, that was my mother's. Same.
Oh my God! High five! Like, were you there? Oh, let's try. Let's try. High five. Come on. No, other
No,
one.
other one.
That one. Yes, I have a giant hand, by the way.
Oy.
Okay.
I should get a giant hand.
To
and just
make
hold it
mother
there.
angry. Oh, to get her winning. Yeah. It's excellent. I actually think like each time I see a very passionate woman, I kind of get warm-hearted. And I was like, aw. That feeling.
If you think about it, they're playing the role of stage manager. Like in my mom's case, like we've got, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 people coming over. There's a big bird to cook. There's all the appetizers and stuff. There's tablecloths. There's decorations. There's cleaning the house. I mean, this has really been going on since Monday in our household, getting things set up, and there'd be decorations and there's people coming over. So we're all going to be nicely dressed, and it's a production, and she's the stage manager. And then she also has to cook the meal. And so mostly we learned to just, help out where we could, but it was mostly a matter of staying out of her way. She did a good job.
How about you guys?
I remember we had during the holiday season, let's say, we used to have a particular type of domestic tradition. After the lunch, the dinner, we were gonna sit down and rewatch the first 3 Indiana Jones movies as a family, let's say. So we were into that for some reason, and we always repeated that task. So yeah, and another thing. Once again, because it was during the that time around when we went and collected, let's say, the olives in order to have some olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got the fresh one right off the olive factory, let's say, we used to make some toast bread and put on it some fresh olive oil with some oregano and something like that. So that was another tradition that we had. Yeah. It is those small things, I think, that make things and the memories more vivid.
I actually want to try olive oil, fresh olive oil, like just like with some baguette. That was so good. It's like some of my favorite meals. Yeah. Okay, I will call you guys out. So a little bit of your traditions, Christian.
Yeah, so our traditions. Well, there's the. Ooh, I think I lost audio, but you guys can hear me okay? Okay. Um, there's going around the table saying like one or two or three things that you're grateful for, something like that. That kind of changes from year to year because people remember it differently each year. So it's like sometimes we say three things, sometimes we say one thing, whatever. There's in terms of like I think we'll typically pick like a movie to watch that evening, even though there's not many Thanksgiving movies. It'll usually be like a Christmas movie or something like that. We'll watch later on, or we'll just do lately. Uh, we'll do like YouTube roulette or whatever, hand the remote around and pick YouTube videos. And usually musical, usually just be like I'll pick a song and then the next person picks a different song and so on, that kind of thing. Uh, what else? I mean, sometimes it lands on my birthday, so then I get to have cake too on top of all the Thanksgiving food, which I don't complain about at all. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist of the. We don't have that much outside of the typical Thanksgiving. Pray, eat, talk.
Yeah, but those are awesome still. Like every family gathering, it sounds like a nightmare to a lot of people. But then once you don't have it, it sounds awesome. So Kevin, how about your traditions?
I was trying to think. I don't remember what these movies are called. I'm sure someone here knows what they are, but like there are these movies about this family that goes on vacations a lot, and it's like
Chevy Chase, I know the guy.
yeah,
Chevy
yeah,
Chase.
yeah, yeah. I think it's Chevy Chase is like the father, right, of the family, and like he's always trying to like make the perfect vacation, and it always goes terribly wrong. For some reason, like my family would like watch those kind of as a thing. Like I didn't actually think about that as tradition until like y'all were bringing up the things you're mentioning. I've also done like a Friendsgiving with some friends. We went camping once, I think, in the Colorado Bend State Park, which is in Texas. Confusingly enough, I think it's because the Colorado River goes through it. But so done that before. That was really fun, and we also had croquet for some reason. I didn't I didn't really think about it, but like that was the thing that we had, and it was just probably just easy to carry around and set up like wherever you're at. Um, What else though? I mean, like the food stuff. I like the idea that Christian mentioned of like the YouTube roulette, which I like that description of like let's just pass it around. We each get like one choice, and like we're just gonna have to deal with whatever that choice is. That sounds fun, and also maybe terrible depending on your taste and their taste, and if that's a good match or not. Um, oh, karaoke. I remember spending Thanksgiving and Christmas with a friend's family, and they did like a lot of karaoke, which is a lot of fun. Um, Although it's a lot of like country songs, which I did not know that much of, so I was kind of out of my element. But it's still fun to play around with that. Um, what else? Board games. I remember that's another thing that uh, I've seen at these Thanksgiving kind of things where it's like people just bring out like random board games just to play around, right? Just have fun with. Um, what else? Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I don't really think of these as like traditions until like I realize, oh wait, yeah, that's like it's a thing they kept doing, right? And it's like it was just kind of isolated to that one, kind of family culture or that unit. But oh, another one was like I think we played some type of like dancing game where it's like it like tracks your body movement and like you dance along with the songs. That's like been a thing. Reading certain stories like one of my friends' family, they like would read this kind of like biblically oriented like children's stories which I remember like, going into this, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so boring. But then I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to put my full attention on it and like just really, really pay attention. It was really enjoyable. Like just like listen to the stories and the themes and like provocative, open-ended questions at the end of like, hey, like, what did you think they did this for? And like, what was the meaning of this? And I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. So that's been another thing I've seen. That's all I've got at this moment. So I will tag out and yield the floor, I guess, to Josh. Is Josh gone?
Yeah, Josh is next.
Yeah, so our Thanksgiving, we have like a large like Latino family. So you bring the entire extended family over, and it's like we're like packed like sardines. Like we can't even move. Okay, like it's a lot of people. So there's not even enough like tables for like we don't have a table long enough for everyone. So
Do you have the little kids table?
It
no.
sounds so good. Like I really love it. That's the one I like the most.
Yeah. And so it's like more like a cocktail party where it's like we're all like, like standing around talking to each other, like spread out kind of. It's not even like a thing. But we have like all of the like traditional like foods, usually like turkey, whatever, mashed potatoes, all of that stuff. But we have tables, so like people sit down on the large tables, but it's just so many people that it's like we're all spread out kind of, and there's a bunch of different tables, and like people are standing up, and it's like there's music, and it's very like feels very different from, and we don't always do that. So like sometimes we just do like just our like family, our immediate family. It's like our four of us. That's it, and we just do a small thing. But yeah, if we do the large extended family thing, it's not really possible to do one table, like just not. So yeah, I mean,
Josh, I want to ask you something. Florida is the most south from the states present. Of course, Harris has the most south. So Cyprus definitely is the most south. But Florida, is it
How
warm?
far south does Texas go? It's pretty south.
I mean,
Really?
Florida's more south a little,
Yeah.
but because but
I'm just like I want to know about what's the weather is like on Thanksgiving, because we have snow here.
yeah, it's pretty hot. Like, it's like I want to say it's hot. I would say it's like between like 75 to 85, 70 to 85 ish
Degrees Fahrenheit, right?
degree. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fahrenheit.
people listening.
I'm trying to
you're gonna have
convert
do
it
your
to
own
Celsius.
translation.
Okay, 75.
If it was a cool night,
75.
you might wear a light jacket, maybe, but probably not.
Does that
You
track?
might you might wear long sleeves. That would be like Florida November.
Matthew, does that track the usual weather here in Florida, like 75 during
Yeah,
Thanksgiving?
I'm not sure for November. I mean, it gets that it's fine. It's comfortable. It's not
Yeah.
cold.
It's not cold. It's not scorching hot.
Well,
North
I feel like
Carolina's the same.
November
I'm
in
kind
Florida.
of in the south.
75 is like 24 Celsius. It's like summer for Poland. Yeah, thank you, Neutrina. Exactly. That's what
Thank
it
you.
is, Celsius. And we have we have snow and ice at the moment.
Are you in which elevation though? Florida's mostly at sea level.
Yeah.
Florida summers is like 37
what do you
degrees
have?
Celsius.
Yeah.
Like about 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Cool.
90
like,
to 100.
It's like, yeah. Alligator
The fall-
Oh, by the way, what with the alligators? Is
I
it
hate
true?
wrestling.
All the I know there is a
Is what
stereotype
true?
of Florida man. I see it on Twitter. There is like a Florida man wrestled an alligator. A Florida woman tripped over an alligator or something like that news. Like, is it all just like made up, or is Florida
No, I think
really
those are both
is
true.
infested with alligators?
I recently
Wait,
saw
whoa, whoa, and the last one, infested. Go ahead,
Josh?
Josh. I used to live in Florida, so I can also answer.
Wait,
No,
you
Yes,
don't live in
that's right. I
You don't,
forgot.
you
What's
don't
that?
live in Florida anymore?
No, I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, I always
Just
thought you
10,
lived in.
10 hours up the road. I still own, I have family there, like right next door. So,
That Josh's name.
yeah, anyway, for me, during the fall, the fact where I am in North Carolina, I grew up in New England, in New Hampshire, and we had fall meant fall colors and some degree of cold. And so all of that fall symbolic stuff was all part of the magic of the season of Thanksgiving, like strong associations with all that. And then when I lived in Florida, we still did all that. I mean, that's where we were playing the croquet and stuff. I don't know that it really lost that much, but it wasn't as synchronized with the environment, let's say. We put up decorations that had leaves on them.
I saw an alligator in my backyard recently. Like we have like a little lake
Mm-hmm.
backyard, and yeah, I saw an alligator just kind of sitting in the grass, just catching some sun. I think it's mating season right now. Pretty
Oh
sure.
boy,
So yeah,
do you
but
know how to make the baby alligator sound?
no.
There's a sound you can make. It's the sound of a baby alligator in distress, and it attracts the mama alligators. So if you do that in a swamp at night, they all turn toward you, and if you shine a flashlight out there, you get like all these like creepy eyes, like the whole swamp will light up with people looking at you. Crocodiles or alligators looking at you. Just fun things you can do when you visit Florida, folks.
I'd have to put that sound on the megaphone so I can
You don't.
get
You
all
can
of
just
them.
you can just go down there and sound like food. They'll look at you.
Oh, also
Splash in the water.
my cousins they catch gators. Like they have they are the tip, like the stereotypical
boy.
Florida man. Like they tie him up and yeah.
Oh my god.
But I wouldn't say it's
Just-
infested with them. It's not like you're going to be going to the mall and there'll be an alligator. That would be quite unusual. But if you're walking
But
through
if
the
it
woods
would
along the
happen,
stream,
Floridians would not be surprised. That's what I mean. Like if in a mall in New York an alligator shows up,
yeah,
New Yorkers
that's not
look,
happening.
oh my god, an alligator. Like in Florida, those are like rats. Like if
Not
if
in a
one shows up
mall.
in the
No,
mall, they're
no,
like,
no, no.
yeah,
Not
no,
that
no.
common.
In a
Back it
mall.
down a little bit. If there is a body of fresh water, there will be an alligator in it. That's like Florida, most of Florida.
Oh my god.
And if it happens to be a pool, I mean, this is one of the reasons you put a gate around a pool, is to keep little kids from getting in trouble with the pool. But it's also to keep the gators out.
Because they like clean water.
Well, any water. Like, you just don't want one to come and go like, hey, here's a body of water for the night. And you're like, no. So people fence their backyards for reasons like that. Because they would get gators.
Oh my.
I saw a huge white frog
Oh, yeah, golf courses.
inside
It's
my
common.
toilet. Like this.
Tree frogs are cool, but not usually in a toilet.
Yeah.
How
I hope
did
you
it
released
get
it.
there?
I don't know. It was in my toilet. It was like huge, like this. It was white. Too. It was white. I don't know how it.
It's a tree frog.
Why is it white?
If it was
if it's
white
a tree
and stick
frog?
into
I
a
don't
toilet,
get-
because we have these tree frogs that are white and gray in different colors, and that kind of match that kind of a bark color, because what they normally do is go on trees like maple trees and things that have a bark that's a light silvery white, and that's their normal environment. But sometimes I guess they get confused and apparently made it into Josh's bathroom, and they were just looking for water, and somehow they found the toilet and probably crawled up under the lip and were like, help. But they're awesome. Tree frogs are awesome. I've never met a tree frog I didn't like. I mean, they're poisonous some places, so you know, check your local guides. But in America, they're all fine.
Oh, okay. So, Kevin, what the temperature you have in Texas at the moment? I know Christian has probably the same temperature as I do, and my friend in Buffalo who has my like really freezing cold.
Let's
Kevin?
see what Weather Channel app says. I think it's like in the 60s right now. Or so like definitely
Oh,
way
it's
above
colder.
like way above freezing. But yeah, I think like, you know, and I'm kind of in central Texas. I'm in Austin actually. So I guess it's like kind of centralish Texas. But I used to live in like
Austin? Oh my God. I have
yeah,
friends in Austin, like it's awesome.
oh cool.
Musical town. Great.
Indeed.
Mm.
But the yeah, I'm used to living, I guess like I spent most of my life, or at least like growing up, kind of near the coast, and so a lot warmer weather. And even now, like we don't really experience that much snow, unless it's like really weird weather, which is getting weirder by the year. So maybe I should expect more of that as time goes on. I was thinking about the alligator stuff too, because like I think I've also
Climate.
been, yeah, it's a we also have alligators here,
I'm
although it's
updating my list
yeah
of
yeah
topics that cannot be discussed.
yeah
Thank you.
the climate
Weather was
fluctuations.
the one safe subject, by the way.
And now
Right, but
it's
you
not.
can easily turn any discussion of the weather into climate change argument. This is
Indeed.
brilliant. I could probably make a map that could stop any conversation. Let's see if I can do it in a couple of days.
But we also have alligators here. Although it's like I'm thinking of the places. It's like usually
Oh,
people who live on like ranches or out in the country, where like that would be a thing. And I had I guess like a family friend group, like you know, like someone my family knows. We would go over to this place and we have a golf cart. And we like drive around looking for gators, which is you know not the safest thing to do for adolescents, but you know we didn't really have much else to do at that time. Um, Yeah, and it's like you know they're pretty slow. At least as long as you don't get close to them, it's like fine. And you know I don't think they can turn that fast. So just like you know make sure you're not in a direct line of sight. Um, but yeah, I guess also scorpions. Remember that being a thing growing up in the country. Just kind of being aware of that. Rattlesnakes too. Um, yeah, actually, I remember like there was one memory. Like it wasn't like that big of a deal because like I wasn't there when it happened. But I just remember like I think there was like a rattlesnake, I think, on our porch, and my dad like had a bullwhip and like he used that to kill it, and which is probably not very common now that I say it out loud, of a thing for people to know how to do with like you know a whip. And apparently there's like a lot of blood everywhere, but I think he cleaned it up by the
it's
time
a
we got home.
Texas thing. Oh my God.
I mean, it was in the country, so it's like you know, like kind of rural-ish. So you know, that's you know, and actually I had a friend who moved to Austin who like was I think from California, and he was like, "I almost stepped on a rattlesnake and like died." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's like you know, you just learn to look out for that now." Like it's just, but I understand like if you're not used to that, it's like very alarming and jarring. But you also had a bad habit of like killing all the rattlesnakes that make a lot of noise. So ones that survived are like the ones that have like really crappy rattles. So yeah, that's we didn't think about that one very well. So you got to be extra careful now because like the rattlesnakes don't have the best rattles because we kill the ones that we can hear.
Okay, so you've got like hidden silent
Oh,
killers,
wow.
and Florida's just got like a few, like, don't go in the water because there might be a gator in there. I'm taking Florida. I don't know
Well,
this
like
thing.
the
If you get
scorpions
bit by
usually
a
aren't deadly.
silent snake,
Yeah.
oh, they're usually not
Well,
deadly.
the
That's
scorpions are
nice.
fine, but like the snakes probably like you should go to the hospital as soon as you get bit by one. But I don't think I've been bitten by a snake or I'm trying to think of people I know who have. I don't think there's that many people. Like I think it's just because we learn, you know, to deal with it and just you know don't go in the field over there where like that's a good place for them to hide out and like just
Do you have
dirt paths.
tarantulas
Not to my
anymore?
knowledge.
Like you did when you were in California, right? Well, it depends where you were. Like California has tarantulas. I'm just telling you, people.
Oh, interesting. Did not know that. Good to know.
Yeah,
no.
like big hairy guys, maybe.
I'm like literally still curious about the whip. So if you have a whip, if you know how to use a whip, you can actually go and like, oh, there rattlesnake, and the rattlesnake is dead, and then you're like, oh my god, a scorpion, and it's dead. It's like
Is that
really
what that
cool
was
weapon.
for?
Well,
I never
thought
thought
so.
of
Like,
using a
like,
whip for like a well-designed purpose.
I think like if you master it, like you're a
It's
whip ninja
perfect.
or something, you can like fly.
And you could do it
like
from the back of a horse. Like if there was
Yes.
horses and snakes are a bad mix, and horses know this. So like you
Or a
could
back of
probably
a
get a
Harley
snake
Davidson,
off
you like
your
climb
path
over the
ahead of a
driveway,
horse.
like
Huh.
oh my
Real use for whips.
Texans are badass.
Well, I mean, I don't know how common it is for people to know how to use whip. Now that I say it out loud, like I realize, like, man, it's probably a very
Pretty
specialized skill that he probably had to like figure out how to do. Because I don't like he didn't kill scorpions with it because it was very tiny. But like a snake's kind of big enough, and maybe he was just trying to scare it. And he just like hit it by accident. I don't know. But either way, I just remember there being a lot of blood that he had to clean up. That was a thing. But
Josh, have you trained for alligator wrestling?
I have no idea how to. I would die if I tried it.
Do you guys have like license? Indiana Jones? Yes. Oh my god. I wanted to
Oh,
ask
right, there
Steve
you go.
Harris because I'm really curious about by the way, I wanted to relate as a non-US. I noticed that Harris in Cyprus as well. For example, we watched a lot of movies like Die Hard, Home Alone, and that they all start from American Thanksgiving. And in our local TVs, they would be showing constantly all the Die Hard series, all of them, like one by one each week, starting from Thanksgiving till Christmas, and all Home Alone movies because there are multiple ones. And I like that for Harris, it's Indiana Jones. And for some people, it's Crocodile Dundee, by the way. Like,
Yeah, more or less. There was Home Alone replays for sure, and also I remember Mr. Bean, a lot of Mr. Bean replays. Yeah, and during that season, I just wanted to say something related to the actual coordinates of Cyprus in terms of the United States. We are on the same level with South Carolina and Georgia and Mississippi, Atlanta and Mississippi, let's say. So Florida is more to the south than us. So yeah.
how about Austin, Harris? I think you might be the same. Cyprus might be the same height as the same kind of longitude. Is it longitude, that one?
I
Or
think.
latitude?
No,
I
I
keep
have
mixing. It's like, yeah.
I actually have them up here. From what I can see, it's South Carolina, Atlanta, Mississippi, Dallas, and New Mexico, and San Diego.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So Austin is more north.
yeah, I
like
guess.
it's 2 hours
I
south
like I
of
keep it.
Dallas. Yeah.
Oh, it's further south. Okay, sorry. I use my head. It's inaccurate.
Yeah, it's in Texas. Texas is it's even a bit more on the south. Right?
I'd be interested in hearing what other people think are forbidden topics.
Hold on. Algernon, you have the tick 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 again going off. It sounds like a mechanical man. It's like I before we move to the controversial topics, like say weather and Elon Musk inventors. Shout out, by the way, Elon. Um, I wanted to ask Harris what animals are infesting. I know New York has a very specific animal infestation, but what is in Cyprus? Like, what animal infests in Cyprus mostly?
We actually have a fish that came to our shores from Japan. Somehow it entered into the Mediterranean basin, and now we have a huge problem. I think it is called, we call it lagopsaro, which is rabbit fish, something like that.
What color is it? Is it
Uh,
black, is it black and white and all spiky?
Something like that, yes.
We call them lionfishes, and we have them too in the
Yeah,
Caribbean and the East Coast.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
all the divers are instructed to kill them.
Yes, and here because they are actually they are an invasive species, and they, as in your case, the department here over here for fisheries gave some incentives to fishermen to capture them. So they are paying them some money in order to get them out. And I am aware that there is at least two non-profits that they are trying to develop some recipes for cooking those fishes. Uh, because in Japan there is one way that they can actually, they have a chef that they
Yeah.
can actually eat them because they are highly toxic. But if you know how to remove, let's say, the bladder in a specific way, you are able to grill them and eat them. But there are many video clips where people, let's say, somebody, there was an empty can in the sea, and that lionfish actually ate it. So they are very hostile, let's say, in that way. They are eating everything. And I am aware that in the United States, you have another problem with the golden fish, because sometimes people they take them out of the fish tanks, and they, instead of I don't know, taking them back to the pet shop, they actually throw them into the
What
river,
what
and
kind
they
of fish?
goldfish.
Goldfish?
Yeah, they tend
So
to be.
our problem with Chinese carp is actually because people are throwing their goldfish out.
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
yeah. They actually get really big size from the tiny ones.
They
If you
don't
let the
they
wild,
don't stay if that's true, then they're not staying gold. But it may well be, or at least in some environment, like if they don't get the right nutrient, maybe they lose the gold. But the fish does fine. Apparently, it eats a lot of aqua vegetation, so
yeah,
and replicates well.
and I think it turns red from what I remember. So yeah,
Wow, that's very cool. The goldfish is like a basic carp fish. It's very tasty, but the lionfish, yeah, that's dangerous to eat. I have a message from Joshua. Joshua needs to go to the family. Joshua, so for this specific live stream, I have a request. Could you say a message for Thanksgiving to your friends, family, or whoever you want to leave the message for? I want to see how it works.
Well, if you're out there listening to me, I don't think any of my friends are listening, or at least my friends outside the John Vervaeke space. But I appreciate your attention, appreciate your love, and all the times we've spent together. And I hope that we don't argue during the Thanksgiving dinner. So.
Thank you. That was lovely. Now you can exit anytime you want. And it was very clever because we were just about to embark on a dangerous subject, from which I want Christian to start.
Sounds good. And I'll have to start it, and then I'll have to jump off as well. But all right, so dangerous topics.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it related to the family memories thing that I mentioned before, as that being sort of the most common type of conversation that comes up. Not all of those memories are always pleasant, and and not everybody who's at the table is necessarily on the same page with their perspective on what actually happened around that memory, the events that are involved in that memory, and not everybody in an Italian family is particularly explicitly empathetic or sympathizing or anything like that. So one of the areas that will commonly result in some degree of tension is that sort of like talking about a memory that involves, let's say, a negative perspective on somebody or something that someone has done. And then without fail, somebody at the table, right, will, let's say, defend the other person or something like that, which is admirable, right? But there's a way to do it in which you show validation and sympathy for the person who is perhaps venting, while also not joining in on the pile on of the person who's being spoken of negatively, let's say, right? So, but that's near impossible to encourage someone who is, let's say, in their 60s or older and is set in their ways of not wanting to be feeling like they they are entitled to say what they want to say in the way they want to say it. Anyone who's younger than them that wants to suggest otherwise is being disrespectful or something like that. So dangerous topic that I'm offering up to the table here is negative memories associated with people in the family or let's say people who are close friends with the family, even if they're not necessarily at the table. So I'm going to drop that there, and I'm going to say thank you very much for having me on here. I'm assuming maybe you want me to do a similar message thing to family, friends, and all that stuff. And so I'll just say to everyone here, as well as to people in YouTube land who haven't seen any of us before or whatever, that I do appreciate your time, energy, and attention. I believe that is the most valuable thing that you can give. And so I appreciate that. I believe that is a manifestation of love in a very meaningful sense, not just flippantly. It is, sometimes it's all that we can give another person who we don't know how to comfort in any particular way, but we can give them our attention and we can listen. And so I just appreciate that, both with you guys, random YouTubers, family, friends. Just thank you. And God bless everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, controversial topics. I second the Mils's negative memories from the family, because it is comes in the realm of our tradition not to anger mom. So nobody angers mother. And this is exactly the one which is not bringing up any painful memory, for example.
It's
It's her
particularly
job.
egregious when somebody knows that they have a differing opinion, and that two people who like always get into it over that, like that happens more than 1 year in a row. Like they almost like they know it's coming, and then those would be some of the forbidden topics where you just know, oh, that leads to Joe will say this and Mary will respond that, and then they'll be into it. And then they'll have to go home early, and no one wants that.
Is it like passive aggression?
I think it's everybody just trying to navigate each other's opinions and holding them a bit too exuberantly right now. Oh, gun rights, that's a good one. I think I had that. I'm making a list, and I thought it would be short, but it's like a page long already of like the forbidden topics. And so I'm going to use it as like a bingo list to see how many of them I can talk about on things.
But you absolutely will bring up.
Yeah, well, I want to see how many of them I can get through, because there's so many now. Like, and we don't have to resolve it. I just want to be like, yep, brought that one up. Check. What else can we talk about? Can't talk about. So I'm interested in what other lists you guys
will you
have,
print
because I
out the
wanna-
Thanksgiving bingo?
Yeah, this could be. Oh yeah, it could work as a bingo card. Ukraine, that's one. You can't do a Ukraine because you don't know what the split's going to be. You can't do a Hamas. Don't say the word. Don't say Israel. Don't say Jewish. Those are all off. January 6th, which means something here. Oh, don't say rigged election. Don't say the T word. Don't say Trump. Oh, I gotta add that one, Trump. That's definitely on the bingo card. Oh, ivermectin. You can't say ivermectin. Oh, can't say abortion. It's a good one, especially with the changes. Yeah, this is quite a list. Horse dewormer. That's
What?
perfect.
Why not?
Because it was used in a propaganda campaign to get people to not take ivermectin here.
Huh.
And then you can lead that into propaganda campaigns. And if they follow you, they'll be like, uh-oh, I didn't know all that was going on. Anyway, and it being horse dewormer was a little overemphasized, which is probably why I spotted it. Like all the comedians and all the newspapers, and still used. I can't believe people. That stuff is. It's just to get rid of worms. It's horse medication. I can't believe people are taking that, and they believe that. They think that's a real thing. They don't know the history of the medication as being a award-winning thing that gets rid of parasites and has antiviral properties. So anyway,
I
it's
never
not
heard
thing.
of that, like literally.
No?
I'm just
Oh,
learning
it's really
about
popular.
it. No.
It's
So this
fentanyl.
would be fun. What's that?
It's fentanyl.
Is the fentanyl is the drug that makes
Fentanyl?
people that
No.
look like zombies?
I've heard on the fentanyl. No, I was talking about ivermectin,
Ah, okay.
and as it being, it was like one of the banned words from YouTube. But they have AIs to do the control now, so you can say the word, you just can't go crazy with it. But I mean, that's why it's interesting. That's why it spawns a larger discussion, because we're not going to be able to discuss the molecular utility of a particular drug, but that the industry or whatever sprung forth to go, you shall not have ivermectin, is certainly a topic for debate and discussion.
Ah, yes, I came just in time for ivermectin.
Yeah, see? He
Yes.
knows. Can't believe you take that horse medication.
Okay,
I'm
welcome.
making a list of
Gilad,
I'm making a list of forbidden topics. So if you have any,
yes,
let me know. I think I've got the Middle East covered as far as
I'm trying to
those,
get
so we don't
canceled.
even need
Well,
that.
I think if you've got the Middle East covered, you're pretty much the only one.
No, I just
Right.
mean the
We
the
we
keywords
certainly
not
do
to
not have it
mention.
covered.
The
I'm just
keywords
saying.
not to mention. We're like, do not mention, cannot say Hamas or Israel or Jewish, nothing. Don't start.
You missed Zelensky, Ukraine.
Oh,
2000.
Zelensky. There you go. And you supporting Ukraine, right?
Okay. Neck sniffing as well, like also controversial. Okay. Welcome, Gilad. So to recap, we went through Thanksgiving traditions. We went through Thanksgiving singing and family, because for non-US citizens as well, what family gathering gratitude traditions do we have? And for Harris and I, it is kind of Christmas gathering. Uh, Before we go into forbidden topics, I wanted to quickly ask you. You are from Israel. What are the family gatherings traditions in Israel? Do you have?
Oh,
We try to
basically,
make parallels, basically.
yeah. Well, basically, it's Jewish holidays plus a few national holidays. Um, the most, let's say, big deal is Passover, where, let's say, in terms of the narrative of Jewish Passover, it's every generation someone tries to kill us, now let's eat.
They have a lot of celebrations.
I'll be more accurate. Every generation
I
someone
relate
tries
to
to
that.
kill us, every generation someone tries to kill us, they failed so far, let's eat.
Yep,
Go team.
it's very relatable.
In terms of like the showing of gratitude and sort of family bonding experiences, I think probably the Jewish New Year is more around that. It's kind of like the uh, closing one year and opening another, and uh, trying to, let's say, start on the right foot the next year. And I have all sorts of holiday traditions that are around what we try to aim for in the coming year.
And so it's Rosh Hashanah, right? This year it was 15th till 17th of September.
Yeah, I think I don't ever remember the dates. It's like it always changes.
I was celebrating Rosh Hashanah with Ariel. It's like a Jewish friend of mine. Yeah. Oh my God, Matthew, you again have the mechanic man. Yes, Matthew
I
has like
know.
some. It's like
Does it go away if I mute? Then I'll
it
stay
comes back
muted.
after you unmute. It's like little guy with a handgun, like it's like really like yeah. I think it's connected. It's something with your the ventilation.
I think it's his microphone or his
Okay.
headset. But so I need to check out. So I don't know if there's anything you want me to say, Car, before I go.
Oh, you're doing the official checkout. Okay. Yes, I want to say the tradition of gratitude, whom you want to say hi, and like whom do you want to wish a happy Thanksgiving?
Well, no one I know is probably gonna ever watch this. So thanks to anyone who's watching, I guess. But honestly, if like you have more meaningful things to do with your time, stop watching this and go do that thing. Like real suggestion. Like, you know, like otherwise, if you enjoy this, that's cool. And like you keep doing the thing you enjoy doing. But if this isn't the thing you want to be doing, then like I'm giving you the time to reflect on that and like check out and like go do the thing you want to do. But if this is the thing, totally cool. Yeah, hope your holidays, whether that's today or upcoming, are good, whoever you are, person. And yeah, that's about it, man. Don't be a dick. Good rule of thumb. Other than that, you know, yeah, that's all I got. So thanks, Kara and Matthew and Glad,
Thank
Harris,
You
and
do.
Christian for earlier.
Briefly see you, Kevin, and
And
have a
and
happy
Josh.
holiday.
Oh yeah, thank you. Until next time,
Bye.
take care.
you, Karen. Somebody said the teeth. It's like your computer is freezing. Just like,
Am I ticking still or again?
Very much.
yes.
God, don't know what's causing it. It's not an actual sound here.
No?
You should just watch the
Somehow when you
recording afterwards just to hear how hilarious it sounds.
yes. It sounds really funny. It sounds like we can make music to it. It sounds like a really good drummer.
It just sounds like it needs to have that classical piece. How does it go? Like.
Did it stop? I assure you that is not going on in my background.
Actually, like, did you guys know that melody called bolero? It's like tu 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 tu. So what I noticed with any beat, any like even the most out of the order beat, bolero combines really well in polyphony. So the two of them combined sound good regardless, because bolero is just like somehow really Gapalache. Yeah, really great. I feel like my attention span is like from the squirrel kind of. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's get back to the topic. Forbidden topics. Harris, do you have forbidden topics in your community in Cyprus?
Not really. I think we can discuss everything. So, apart from, yeah, it does sound like castanets. So, so we can make a song out of it, I guess. Apart from bringing, sometimes, especially the older generations, they keep on bringing up again and again the same bad memories. For some reason, they never forget about them. So apart from that, because I cannot say it's a forbidden topic, because even if someone says no, we should not get there, still they will get there. So in that sense, I am saying that there is no forbidden topics, let's say. So yeah, in generally we are very open to discussions, and especially during the festive seasons. So we see it as an opportunity to discuss, and I am sure, like Christian said, with the case of the Italians, we Greeks and Cypriots, when discussing, we if someone else from another culture listen to us, they will definitely think that we are having a fight, but we are not. We are just discussing. We are loud people, so Yeah.
How about you, Gilad? What are forbidden topics in your crowd?
There is a sense that there are no forbidden topics, but not in a necessarily positive sense, like in the sense that there's also no boundaries to civil discussion sometimes. Like, there's a sense in which every discussion, if you're not careful, can deteriorate to everyone being Nazis at some point. So, yeah. I mean, it would be nice to have some boundaries for the conversation to say like, okay, you know, I disagree with those people, but fine. And instead, it's kind of like let's hate them more, and there's no point in which that's sort of bounded, and that makes it difficult. Right. So I don't know. Maybe in a way, it kind of creates forbidden topics because you just like, yeah, you can bring them up, but why? Right? Like it's just it feels pointless.
Is gender a forbidden topic?
I mean, that's certainly on the list.
No. I mean, it's not an interesting topic in here too much. Like it's not hot as it is, let's say, in the U.S. But like there were some discussions. Like my sister was more around like stuff relating to gender affirmation and like her husband wasn't so much into that and thought that it might need to come just much later in life. Generally, like, it was a talk. It didn't get to Nazis. It was okay.
I'm interested that it's actually a baseline, right? Because we at our table, let's say, if I gather around like family tables in Poland, I usually join Polish traditional families with their grandmothers and their kind of weird uncles and aunts. And for them, they do not touch the Nazis only as a joke, let's say, somehow to joke about them. But gender is forbidden topic in Poland. It's like something that gets absolutely everybody mad because Polish people are extremely like mostly conservative, very yes, very conservative and very religious, and anything that breaks out of the norm. Yes, Mills, thank you for being here, and thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving, Mills. Yeah, and the other subject that I like, you cannot talk gender, and it's just like it's no. There everybody gets inflamed. Younger generation gets inflamed against the older generation, let's say, and of course everybody unites on politics. So it's weird unless there is one member who, let's say, likes the other party. What I noticed in Poland, like families largely agree on one political party, and they keep within that party, even if they're neighbors. They're like this family supports this party, and so they all talk and affirm each other's belief. Like there is no diversity in there, and if anybody, yeah, brings up a party they don't like, they all agree, yeah, this party is bad. And yeah, basically the only controversial, and they all agree unilaterally that um, on the refugee front, it's weird. So there are two types of refugees that try to enter Poland. The refugees from Ukraine, all good. All the refugees from any Middle Eastern country, all bad, to the point like they would just spray them with water. Like literally all the Polish borders are really strictly closed to any refugees. And they're like, Ukrainians, yeah, come in. And I'm grateful for that, of course. It's just like I do see that that kind of treating people differently. And I asked why. And they said it's a cultural diversity. So Ukrainian culture is closer to our culture. So they will not diversify us too much. But the other people are too far. And so we don't want to be diversified. That's why we keep them away. So immigration, the subject of immigration is inflammatory. And yet I noticed that people in Poland actually largely agree within families about that. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's
With
generally
the border.
we're talking over each other. I think someone has a delay, either me or you, Matthew. All right. I think there's a problem that comes to the discourse itself, and I think it happens a lot with immigration policy currently worldwide, which is like that generally is not neither binary nor like very sharp in any way, and most of the discussions are just lacking in depth. So I find it ridiculous to claim, let's say, let's have no immigration or no immigration from these countries, or like some like broad brush sort of thing, and the opposite as well. Like, let's just open our doors. We owe it to the world. It's like that. None of these things make sense when you really sort of break them down to their components, or even to what constitutes them. Like, even if you say, let's say, we are better off, we have a duty to the people that are less well off than us, then you still have a question of, okay, what makes us better off, and how can we preserve that while being able to help as much as we can other people, and how much capacity do we have to do that, right? How much, like, there's a lot of buzzwords that people use without committing to them, but when people talk about integration, like, if you want to talk about it, you should talk about a plan. You should talk about a rate that you can withstand, like how many is too many, how many is enough, like that we can withstand, and then, right, culture, I think within the very antagonistic debate forms, people rarely really talk about culture and its significance. So it's like, oh, you don't like people from the Middle East, it means you're racist, right? Like, if you don't want them to come in. And well, in many cases, that's true. It could be racist, right? I don't know whether it is or not, but to say that like culture differences don't matter, well, then why is your country different than any other country? Isn't culture what makes a country what it is? So yeah, I think it's relating to the bigger subject. I think that one fun thing to do is to try to take an inflammatory subject or a forbidden subject and insist on having a mature conversation about it, like really trying to master that ability and force people to sort of be civil and go into depth in that kind of conversation. And it can have surprising results. Like I've had cases where, someone came out with, some broad brush, hard line stance on something, and I was like, okay, so like, do you mean that this and this and this, and do you think like that that would represent what you're saying? And then over time, like they become a bit more moderate in their speech because they want to play that game because it's, I think, a better game than just hardline, sort of flat understandings of these subjects.
If I may add something here, it will be that when discussing these difficult topics, especially when politicians discuss them, they tend to use what we call wooden language, which is particularly, let's say, it's language that is constructed in a way to sound great, but it has zero depth into it. So it is just to satisfy, let's say, the moment and not to serve any other purpose. So I don't believe that festive seasons are the best period to have this type of conversations. Maybe if the politicians, at least, they want to be more serious, they will sit down, and not only at the national level but on the municipal levels, so at the level of cities and even neighborhoods, and have this discussion, like, what does it mean, immigration, for us? How does it affect us? And then they can go into a further discussion by opening it up and inviting some domain experts, let's say, possibly come up with different scenarios of micro policies that can actually have a good impact, let's say, into that neighborhood, into that city, into that port, or whatever. And you can imagine this not only for the case of immigration, let's say, but also for the other wicked problems, like, for example, homelessness. So one idea, let's say one camp, is to have this type of conversations in order to come up with these micro policies in order to make cities and public spaces more inclusive, let's say, and welcoming to everyone, both locals and migrants, let's say, into the city, or tourists even. And different type of, on the other side, or the other camp, let's say, is to do what New York City is doing now, which is to introduce the hostile architecture. So you have benches that they have spikes in it, or some they are very discomforting, so people, they cannot spend a long time there. So there are these two responses, let's say, from the terms of policy design and implementation. And once again, I am trying to place it down, let's say, into the level of not only the politicians, but in a wider, let's say, more open type of forum, where even citizens can raise their voice, and maybe they can vote into these different scenarios and micro policies before they got introduced blindly. And in most cases, the politicians, they tend to introduce the most expensive option, maybe due to corruption or other things, because somebody who is going to get a lot of money. But I think that's not necessarily the case. Maybe it's something cheap that is the optimal, let's say, solution. And it depends from region to region. So sorry for going on and on, but this is a sensitive topic for me. So yeah.
I just think, on the general term, where I really agree with you is that, like, politicians always present a zero-sum game. Like, we have to, like, if my thing wins, then finally we defeat the other, like, side, and, like, that's, I think, a bad idea. Like, if I needed a rule of thumb to go, like, who should I trust, then usually the one that presents something that's not a zero-sum game, like you were just suggesting, that maybe there could be ways to have your cake and eat it too, in the sense that there could be some level of immigration fitting needs, and there could be policies to address the concerns that people have, let's say, on how that would affect their neighborhood. So to me, that's a part of the real crux of politics today, is that in order to rile up the masses, to rile up support, what people like talk about, rallying your base, you need to call them to war, right? And war means you need an enemy, and an enemy means, like, if we win, they have to lose. And I think that's, like I said, as a rule of thumb, it usually means suboptimal, because really most games are not zero-sum games.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I am thinking about the problem that actually still persists always. And people from a families, let's say, they gather around the table and they try to present what is alive for them, what persists for them. And they have, like, this internal belief that their way of seeing things is the only correct way, and they try to kind of persuade others of their opinions. And
I'm not sure that's exactly what it is always.
mm-hmm.
Because I think in a lot of cases they feel not only that their way is the only right way. I think the sense, and I felt it a lot, is like, how to phrase it, there's a sense that, like, there is insanity around them, right? That there's a sense that something, like, when someone is getting really riled up and saying, how can you not see this? Like, they feel like their perception of reality does not cohere with what other people are saying. And it's like, it's not this thing like where you think about something and you think you're right, like it's a math problem. It's like the depths of your identity, the depths of your perception of the world is like, if you don't see this, you must be insane, or I am insane, and I can't live with either of those because you're my family. And then it gets very contentious. Sorry to cut you off in the middle. Go ahead.
I resonate with a lot of that. The idea that, like, a reality has been fractured, where you hold something, and things where there's trivial or technical things, or one side knows something or whatever, those are easy. the ones where people maybe are attached to tribe. It's like part of a whole collection of things that are held, and they have a very strong identity. And maybe everywhere in their world, people they work with or whatever, there's just a common stance about who they love and who they hate, and what you're presenting doesn't fit some narrative, and they're very uncomfortable with accepting any aspect of it because they don't want to evaluate it. They're living in this some other, waiting something other than I guess rationality. And I think because I live in a world where a lot of that stuff never applied very well, like it was just sort of haphazardly thrown on top. Like the truth of some things, I'll call truth. My God, it's so hard to parse. But like my understanding of it, I get what you're saying when you're like, this is not like a trivial disagreement. This is something where like we need to we both have to agree that this is a good thing and this is a bad thing. Those kind of disagreements.
Sorry to bail in the middle, but I do have to go.
From my perspective, I wanted to say thank you to everyone in this panel, everyone that joined us in the live stream. I would like to also thank Kara for having this virtual space for everyone. And yeah, that's it. I wish all the wars stop like yesterday, and hopefully we can all together move forward towards a better future for our children. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you. Bye, Algernon. Bye, Kara.
See you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. So, Matthew, it's just the two of us. Let's close it up properly.
So I ended with this long list of, surprisingly to me, long list of words, the key to phrases and topics that basically would be divisive in my group of friends. I think if I'm anxious to approach it in a sort of open space where, like, if the group wants to talk about those topics, we can talk about them. But I would bring them for the point of bringing division. Like, that's just trolling. And to try to approach so many at one time would be unreasonable. But it's interesting to me the size of that space, how big that has grown now, at least my perception of it. And we touched on a number of them, but the full list isn't that important. But I guess my invitation to people would be to try to, it's okay to have some level of discussion and see if you can find a good way to do it.
Thank you so much. Well, that was awesome. Everybody ran it with too fast, but I'm thanking everybody for being here and for actually doing their best in this difficult situation, sharing gratitude with us. Thank you so much. And yeah, check out, I provided the links in comments. I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Bye.